All right. Well, welcome everyone. These lights, I got to figure this out. This is kind of funny. But, anyways, I am excited to share some thoughts tonight with you guys. By the way, I thought I had it in here. If you have not, I don't know if you guys can see this. Boop, boop, boop. If you have not sampled or if you're not drinking the pink lemonade intercom, I would highly recommend it. It's so good. I mean, it's good like cold. But in the detox tea or the dream tea at night, oh, it's just my absolute favorite. So, anyways, hopefully these light beams coming down from heaven will not bother you. But I wanted to really have a quick training with you guys tonight on one of the things that know. I know that it is a principle of success that the people that are building their businesses, that are growing their businesses, that are scaling their businesses, they're doing these two things. Okay. And the first thing that they are doing, sorry, I will stop drinking that. It's just so good. But you're like, I didn't get on a training call to watch you drink tea. The first thing that they are doing is they have a vision for what they want from this business. Okay. And they have a vision that's bigger than I just want to sell some products. If you have your Arbonne account and you are a consultant within Arbonne because you want to sell some products and you love sharing the products and you just love making those like transactions with people, you love having people have transformations, you love having clients and really kind of having just that exchange in that way, you can absolutely do that. You can absolutely do that. But I'm here to tell you that there is so much more to this business, so much more. And when I first started, the more is really what was talked about. And the more was what the vision was painted around. And a big part of that is because when I first started, we didn't have preferred client accounts. I remember the phone call when the CEO at the time, her name was Kay, she announced we were going to get this whole new category for our customers called preferred clients. And this was probably 2009. Yeah. I was living in Hawaii at the time. I was living in this tiny studio apartment or room. And Maggie was taking a nap and I hopped on this call and I just remember hearing this whole idea of preferred clients. And before we had preferred clients, everyone shopped either at the retail pricing or they shopped as a consultant because I think at the time to become a consultant was like $29 or $49. It just wasn't a huge price difference. But because people could become a consultant and get the discount that we were getting as working consultants, that's what most people did. So most events that I had, this was all pre-social media. Most events that I had, I'd have, two, three, four people become consultants to make the purchase, especially if they were going to purchase like a full skincare set or if they were going to purchase, like a larger order. It just made sense to pay that price in order to get the greatest discount. And that was wonderful. But what that resulted in for us as consultants was very small paychecks at the beginning. My first paycheck with Arbonne after working a month in the business was like $6.42. Still to this day, Sunny and I kind of kick ourselves like, why in the world did we cash that check? Like we should have framed that check as like the beginning, like that seed, money that we really saw. And then I think it grew to like $50. And I was like, what? This is amazing. I mean, in my third month of business, I promoted to district manager, and I think my check was maybe $100, right? But I remember being told from the very beginning, I wasn't building this business for the right now money. I was building this business for what the lifestyle, that this business was going to equal the dreams that I had for myself and my family. And at the time, it was going to be my future family because I didn't have any kids at the time. Or Sunny and I didn't have any kids at the time. And so when the preferred client account came into play, that really did change things. And I think that has changed things even more and more. I think post 2020, it has changed things for a lot of people of just really looking at these network marketing businesses or these side hustle businesses or these side gigs or this, influencer kind of idea, this affiliate marketing as more of like the right now money. Like, what's my check going to be on Tuesday? What's my check on Tuesday? And You'll get a check tomorrow if you made some sales last week. But so if that's what you're wanting, you can absolutely have that. But I am going to tell you that that has a limit on how much you can scale. It has a limit because you can only service so many clients truthfully over the long term. I know that we might see people who have large social media followings and you'll see crazy numbers like they're signing up 200 new preferred clients in a month. Well, it is impossible for a human being to establish any sort of relationship with 200 new people every single month. So, as quickly sometimes as those new signups will come into their business as a customer, they can quickly fall off too because there is nothing really binding them or holding them to that particular consultant because it's more of a transactional relationship than a relationship or a transformational relationship, right? And again, you can only service so many people. I mean, I feel like I have built a large business over the last 2 decades and still I just know that there's capacity for more in terms of my client base is in terms of that like direct selling aspect of it. But at the same time, that takes a lot of time. That takes a lot of time to follow up with people, reach out to people, help them put their order in, help them if they have a return, or a question or how to use the product, right? So how you really are going to scale this business and what the more is that is possible for you, possible for every single consultant is to get your mind around the vision of building a really big business. And I know that in the last couple years, I really haven't I have shied away from casting a big vision of what is possible for consultants with their Arbonne business. And part of that is I think that so many of us kind of went through the ringer of life. 2020, 2021, 2022, that by 2023, a lot of us were just kind of like, I'm barely breathing, like I'm just here. But, there was just so much turmoil, so many hard things that people had to walk through. And so I was trying to be sensitive to that. I was trying to temper that. I was trying to not overwhelm myself and others, with a messaging of like, go build a big business, go build a huge business. And in some ways, to be totally honest and transparent, I regret that. I regret that I didn't keep waving this flag of like, there is a big business opportunity, you guys. This is a multi-million-dollar business opportunity. I hope you know that. Like when you become a regional vice president and the way that companies evaluate the value of businesses. But when you are like a regional vice president and you're doing between $40,000 and $60,000 of sales a month, which means that you're probably earning a paycheck of somewhere, depending on how your business is structured, somewhere between $4,000 and $8,000 a month. That is actually considered a multi-million-dollar business because of the level of sales that you're doing cumulatively over a year. Right. And so I want you to get your mind around that. I want you to get your mind around this business equaling your dreams. Arbonne is not the dream. Arbonne is the vehicle to give you the time, the finances, the personal development, the courage, the habits, the skill set, like the community. All of those things is what is going to equal the dreams that you have for yourself, for your family, for your future. Okay. Whether those dreams are like, I want to explore the world, I want to do really massive things, or the dream is like, I just want to live debt free, or the dream is like, I just want to go do fun things that seem maybe silly, or I want to have the choice to go buy an airplane ticket anytime I want to, or I want to have the choice of education for my kids, or I want to have the choice of curriculum that I use. Like, if you guys can see this, this is all curriculum that I bought over the last, this is year 4 for us. This is actually not a lot of curriculum, but I'm so thankful that I have a business with Arbonne that has afforded us an income where I can just buy all the books for the girls, and I can buy what we not only need, but we can buy what we want. And I'm not saying that budgeting doesn't get tight at times, or a family of 8, of course it does. But what I'm saying is that if I wouldn't have built this Arbonne business, I really don't think this homeschooling shelf would even be a reality for us. So this to me is a dream. This is part of my dream. I didn't know it was actually part of my dream when I started 20 years ago. I didn't think that I was going to homeschool, but when that desire really started to get birthed in me, realizing that I had the time because I had a job that I could work from my phone, that I didn't have to be away from my kids. Like there were so many choices that played into the decision to homeschool our girls that were really possible because of the Arbonne business I had been building for over 10 years at that point. Okay. And so when I'm talking about a dream, I'm not talking like if you want to have the jets and the yachts and the crazy vacations to Bora Bora, you can have that. But I think for a lot of us, we've shied away the last few years of like, what is the dream? What is the dream that I want for my life, for my family? Where do I want to be in 5 years? That was the question that was asked of me so many times when I first started into Arbonne, and then I would ask other people, and I just want to bring it back to the conversation with people is where are you going to be in 5 years? And if you keep doing what you're doing right now, where will you be? And is that where you want to be? And if you want different, then you have to do different. And Arbonne is the vehicle to do the different, to create, because it's not all about money, you guys. I get that, even though I am a person that is driven by like achieving and page. I like it. Like I'm just competitive. I'm always kind of like competing with myself. Money is not the end all be all, but guess what? It is right up there with oxygen, as our former president, Rita Davenport used to say. And here's the thing. It's the means that will get you oftentimes all of those things that you're wanting. Time with people that you love. How do you get time with people that you love? You have the resources of finances. How do you get travel opportunities? Finances, resources. How do you get education experiences? How do you get to go to the sporting events or the concerts? How do you get to give to the ministries and the missions that you're passionate about? How do you get to help your family members? Like all of those things need the resources, right? They need the finances. How do you get the finances is you build this business, and you build it by sponsoring consultants. You build it by casting a vision big enough that other people can see themselves in it. Okay. You cast a vision big enough that other people can see themselves in it, so that when they leave chatting with you, their wheels start spinning and they're like, I never thought about that, but what if? What if I had somebody years ago join my business? Not necessarily that because she was convinced that it was the vehicle for the dreams that she had, but she was convinced enough that she didn't want to regret at least not giving it a try. So she said yes to this business because she's like, I just don't want to miss out. And she's like, to be honest, I don't want to watch you go be successful and me sit on the sideline and be like, I wish I would have. I could have, but I didn't. Right. And so she jumped in, and it birthed in her really this beautiful entrepreneurial spirit that she's gone on to be super successful in the career that she's chosen. And so it's this understanding, I guess, that there is the first success principle is you got to get a big vision. You got to get clear on what are you wanting? What are you going after? What are you working for? Because when you get attached to that, it will be the gas that will drive you through the discomfort. It'll be the gas that'll give you the courage to make that next ask. And it's going to be the gas. I'm going to bring up my screen here to share something with you guys that's going to give you what you need to be consistent. And this is the second principle. And I saw this today and I was just like, here we go. This is it. This is it. So I don't know if you guys can see me as you see that or not. So I'm just going to keep it up here for a little bit, but consistency wins. You don't need to be smarter. You don't need to be prettier. You don't need to have more followers. You don't need to have more engagement. You need to be more consistent. And when you get clear on the vision that you have for your life, for where you want to be in a year from now, where do you want to be in 5 years from now? Where do you want to be in 10 years from now? Because guess what, you guys, the time is passing anyways. The time is going to pass anyways. And for a lot of us, we're already like, oh my gosh, it's August of 2024. It just feels like it was January. Or maybe you're like me and you're like, I so vividly remember August of 2022 because I was like 2 months out from birthing my sixth kid. And there was just like so many feelings and so many emotions. And it's hard for me at times to realize it has already been 2 years, 24 months since that like point in time, right? Time goes so quickly and the time is going to pass anyways. So how do you capture, quote unquote, that time is by you say and you focus on the things that you want. You get intentional about the vision that you're creating for yourself and your life and your family if you have one, and the future family if that's what you're looking for. But you get really on purpose, and what will feed the machine of the vision is the consistency of the showing up, of the doing the do, of doing the work. And so my question and my challenge to you as you watch this is, what can you get consistent about? What are you going to be willing to get consistent about? What are you willing to carve out the time to be consistent about? What are you willing to make sacrifices for to be consistent about? I am not where I am in my business because I haven't made sacrifices in order to be consistent, in order to get in front of another group of people, in order to share the story one more time, right? I have made those sacrifices. I've made those sacrifices with my family. I've made those sacrifices on missing out on things like relationally, parties, or, like birthdays or things like that, or, just made different I've sacrificed sleep. I've sacrificed saying yes to things like when my kids were in school, like I wasn't the room mom. I know that I missed field trips at time to time, right? Because I had such a crystal clear vision of where I knew from day one I wanted to be at the top of the company. I just knew that because to me, it was like, well, if it's possible and it doesn't seem that hard. Now, hard and difficult, I think, are two different things. Hard meaning it's a simple business, what we do. What's difficult is this part. What's difficult is staying consistent. What's difficult is showing up when you don't want to. It's difficult to keep this business a priority when everything else in your life is screaming for your attention, which guess what? It's August 19th. Do I know that there are so many things vying for and screaming for your attention right now? Yes, because I'm living it too, right? But it's difficult to keep the business the priority, a priority, not the priority, a priority. But it really does, you guys. To me, it has to be a top 3 to 5 priority. If you have a desire to live in this space of the more, to create this business where it does start to give you more choices. And to me, the more choices are going to come when you start to see 500, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000. I just want to stretch your like thinking a little bit as you watch this training. Like, if you started making an extra $2,000 a month more than you're making right now, working full time or whatever you're doing for your family budget or your individual budget, what would you have? What would be different? What choices would you have that you don't have right now? $2,000. Now I want you to think $5,000. You start making an extra $5,000 a month. What are you going to have in terms of choices that you don't have right now? What are you going to have more of? And what are you maybe going to have less of? Are you going to have less stress? Are you going to have less debt? Are you going to have less student loans? Are you going to have less, angst over the grocery budget or the gas budget, right? Are you going to have like less conflict when it comes to like, our kids want to do more sports, but like, we can really only budget for one. We can afford one right now, right? What would an extra $5,000 do? Write it down. Like, this is the stuff I want you to think about, because this is the stuff that's going to start to birth in you this vision. This is what was shared with me 20 years ago, and I couldn't sleep because I was like, people are making $5, $10, $20,000 a month with this business. What? I think at the time my annual income was like 24,000 a year. And it was difficult for me to wrap my mind around that. But I was like, people are making nearly in a year or in a month what I'm making in a year. What would look different if my income grew by 12 times? right? Or 11 times. So I want you to think about that. What would be different if you had an extra $10,000 a month? Would you still work full time? Would you work part time? Would your retirement look different? Would your giving look different? Would your kids' future and opportunities look different? Would potential weddings down the road for kids? All right, I'm a mom of 5, so I always am thinking about like weddings down the road. Would that look different? Now, what about $20,000 a month? I really want you to think about that. What would that do for you, for your family, for your future, for the choices that you probably more than likely don't have today? And here's the thing, you guys, I've never met anyone who is successful. I've never met anybody who is like entrepreneurial. I've never met anybody who has great income who has ever said to me like, I just don't have a need for more income. It's silly. You just don't need more income. I've just never heard that. Why? Because they realize then the more they can do the more with, and they can help more people, and they can impact more people, and they can give. Like, is there something in your life right now, or in your family's life, or in your kids' life where it's like, man, I would love to just write a $5,000 check and not even have to think about it? I know for us there's some things pertaining to sports, the sports organization that we're a part of, and I would love right now to be able to just be blowing out $5,000 checks. So to me, that again, when I'm talking about the dream, it goes back to things like that. Because the things that I want to write these checks for, it's not just for my own kids, it's for the entire program. It's for like 200 kids to get them like new scoreboard, to get them like shooting machine, like guns for basketball, not like guns, ammo guns, but like shooting machines, or, just these things. It's just like, because on one hand, it's like, oh, $5,000, that feels like a ton. We got to do a lot of fundraising for that. And on the other hand, I'm like, $5,000, we can do that. We can get that, right? We can grow to that. So the consistency part, the consistency is the thing that's going to give life. It's going to give seed to the business. Okay. And so I want to really encourage you, but I want to challenge you. You have got to decide, what are you going to get consistent about? Are you going to get consistent about, no matter what, I'm getting 6 in-person events on my calendar every single month. I'm going to figure it out. My family's going to make the sacrifices. They're going to eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches on those 6 nights of the month because, I'm the primary cook in the family, or I'm going to miss 6 events of my kids in the month because this is that important to me. Or is your consistency going to be every day I'm going to reach out to 5 people and I'm going to ask them if I can share Arbonne with them, right? Or I'm going to ask until I get a yes. Or I'm going to ask until I get a yes, no, or maybe. Or I'm going to be posting, if you want to take the social media route, which really to me, it's not a system for building the business. It's just a tool. I believe that the system is getting in front of 40 to 50 faces and having a conversation about Arbonne. And posting on social media is not having that conversation, right? It's not a back and forth. So, but what are you going to get consistent about? Okay. And then ask yourself, what are you needing to sacrifice? What are you willing to sacrifice in your own self? What are you needing to grow in terms of your discipline in order to create that consistency? What are you willing to shift in priorities? What are you willing to maybe not say yes to for a season? And, all of those things play into this. And so I don't want to overcomplicate it, but you have to understand that these 2 principles, consistency and holding a vision, and understanding that this business is the vehicle to the dreams that you have. And you got to awaken those dreams. You got to unlock those dreams. You got to spend time thinking about, I'd really love to buy a motorhome. I'd really love to take my kids to all 50 states. I'd really love to take my parents on the vacation of a lifetime before they can't travel anymore. I'd really love to pay for a missions trip for the youth group at my church. Whatever those things are, right? Those are all just kind of random things, but there's so many things, you guys. You'd love to buy a new car. You'd love to remodel your kitchen. You'd love to put a pool in the backyard for your kids, right? Like, there's endless things. You have a dream. They are specific to you. They are unique to you. They are the things that, like, you kind of hold your breath about because you're like, I don't know, could that ever actually be possible? And I want to tell you that I absolutely believe that they can be. They require work, they require that consistency, they require that prioritizing and that focus. But I wouldn't be here 20 years later, this passionate and this convinced that this is the vehicle to get you to that place if it wasn't so. I just wouldn't, because the integrity that I live by would not allow me to say that to you. But it is true, it is possible, and you just have to decide. So what are you going to get consistent about? Get clear on the vision, get clear on the dreams that you want, and start to put those things into action. We have the rest of this month. We have, oh, that's a fun thumbs up. We have August, September, October, November. We have almost 5 months left, you guys. I have seen people go from a brand new consultant to a national vice president in that much time and less. So what do you believe that what can you do? Can you get to district manager? Yes, you can get to district manager by the end of the month. Can you get to area manager? Can you get to regional vice president? Can you get to national vice president? You get to decide. And then you put the work in, you stay consistent, you make the sacrifice, you prioritize, and you keep anchoring to the vision and the dreams and use that as the fuel to push through these things. So those are the things I wanted to share with you guys tonight. I love you so much. Thanks for hopping on. We've got 2 weeks left in this month and I plan to make it amazing. All right. Love you guys.